morning, and welcome, in-person and Zoom friends, to this Unitarian Universalist Society. My name is Carolyn Cave, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. All members are identified with banners on their name tags. Our monthly board meeting is this Thursday at 7 p.m., where you are always welcome to attend the first 15 minutes to bring something for discussion. You may also contact us at board@uusocietyamherst.org. Many paths have led us here today. The path brought some of us here years ago, and some of us arrived just today. We each bring many things in ourselves: sexualities, genders, abilities, origins, means, races, and beliefs. Our rich diversity fills our time together with meaning and value. If you believe in love, you are welcome here to learn, grow, and love in this community.
Good morning. I am Jeff Clark. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm a member of our Environmental Action Circle, which was formerly our Green Sanctuary Committee. Our mission is to support the congregation and its members in practices of sustainable living and spiritual connectedness to the earth, with a focus on averting the impacts of climate change. Our activities are expressions of UU's spiritual practice of our seventh principle: respect an interdependent web of all existence of which we are all a part. So I don't know how many of the members of the Environmental Action Circle are here today, but if you could just quickly stand up or give a thumbs up if you're on Zoom. I don't know if you can put the Zoom on. I know Ann Perkins, longstanding member, is probably tuned in from Zoom, and I think Louise and Ron Grossline, who are very active, may not be on because it's Ron's birthday, or at least he's having a celebration. So today we're bringing you our annual Earth Day service led by Polly Peterson, our spiritual leader. And today's theme of rivers and resistance, or under today's themes of rivers and resistance, I'd like to leave you with a short quote from Thich Nhat Hanh. And before I read that, if you could all just put your hands out like this. Water flows over these hands. May I use them skillfully to preserve our precious planet. Congratulations, you're now all members of the Environmental Action Circle.
Our Earth Day chalice lighting words are written by Sherry Woodbury. I invite you to say them with me. Spark of the Spirit, cup in earth's embrace, light of love alive in all creation. As we kindle this flame, we rekindle our connection to the sacred web of life. I invite you to rise in body, spirit, heart, and voice to sing our first hymn, Blue Boat Home, number 1064 in the Teal hymnal and on the screen.
Soul. Okay, now we're going to be looking at the pictures of the story mostly on the screen. So if you can shift yourself where you can really see the screen well, that's going to be helpful. Our Earth Day story today is called A River Runs Wild by Lynn Cherry. It's a beautiful story with paintings by Lynn Cherry that we're going to be able to look at right up there. Can you see the screen from where you're sitting? Okay. Long ago, a river ran wild through a land of towering forests. Bears, moose, deers, hawks, and many other animals made their home in the peaceful river valley. Beavers, turtles, and fish swam in the clear waters. A group of native people, searching for a good place to settle, climbed Mount Wachusett and saw the shining river nestled in a valley. They came down from the mountain to quench their thirst in the river's waters. They could see pebbles shining up from the river bottom. "Let's settle here," their leader, Chief Weawa, said. He called the river Nashaway, which meant river with a pebbled bottom. Beside the Nashaway, Weawa's people built a village. They gathered cattails from the river to thatch their dwellings. They planted corn and squash. They made canoes for river travel. When they hunted and fished for food and clothing, they asked the creatures that they killed to forgive them. They never took more than they needed. For hundreds of years, they lived in this way. Then one day, a pale-skinned trader came with a boatload full of treasures. He brought shiny metal knives, colored beads, cooking kettles, mirrors, tools, and bolts of bright cloth. Its story is real. I meant to tell you, this is a true story that happened just a little bit to the east of us, 50 miles away in Groton, Massachusetts. Yeah, and you live in Massachusetts too, so it was nearby. This special story happened very close to us. So after the pale-skinned trader came and they set up a trading post, many settlers from England started settling by the Nashaway, which they called the Nashwa, and that's what we call it today. They cleared the land by cutting down forests. They hunted wolves and beavers and sent the pelts to England in return for goods and money. The English settlers built sawmills that were powered by the river's current. They built dams. They cut trees from the towering forests to make lumber, which they used for building houses and fences. They put up fences around their pastures and their fields. They called the land and the river their own, telling the Indians not to trespass. Hunting land disappeared as the settlers cut the forests, and fishing rights vanished. The Indians fought to protect their lifeways, but the settlers' rifles eventually drove most of them away from the land. At first, the river remained healthy, still flowing wild and free. But then came the Industrial Revolution. Many new machines were invented, and people built factories along the Nashua River, where the river's current powered them. Some machines spun thread. Others wove the thread into cloth. Some machines turned wood to pulp, and others made the pulp into paper. Leftover pulp and dye and fiber were dumped into the Nashua River. Along came telephones and radios and other things made of plastics. Factories dumped chemicals and plastic waste into the river, and soon the fish and the wildlife grew sick from the pollution. Pulp from the paper mills continued to clog up the river, and it began to run more slowly. As the pulp decomposed, bad smells welled up from the river. Ooh. Each day, the mills dyed paper red, green, blue, and yellow, and the Nashua ran with the colors of the dye. Soon, no fish lived in the river. No one could see pebbles shining up through the murky water. The Nashua was dark and dirty. The river was dying. One night, a man named Oiana, a descendant of the Indian leader, Wiowa, had a dream so vivid that he awoke in wide-eyed wonder. In his dream, Chief Wiowa's spirit returned to the river and saw it as it was now. He mourned for the Nashaway, and where his tears fell upon the dirty waters, the waters were cleaned until the river once again flowed freely. The next morning, Oiana told his friend, Marion Stoddard, about his dream, and she was amazed. "I had this dream also," she said. Together, they decided they must do something. Marion began traveling to each town along the Nashua River, telling people about the river's history and her vision to restore it. No longer do we have a river. It's a stinking, smelly sewer. But it wasn't always this way. People listened and imagined a sparkling river full of fish. They imagined pebbles shining up through clear waters. They signed petitions and sent letters. They protested to politicians and sent them jars of dirty river water. They convinced the paper mills to process their waste. They persuaded the factories to stop dumping. Finally, there were new laws to stop the factories from polluting. Slowly, the Nashua River's current began to clean its waters. Year by year, the river carried away the dyes and fiber. Through the meadows, towns, and cities, the Nashua River began to flow freely once again. Thanks to Marion Stoddard and the many people she recruited to help, the Nashua River has had an amazing recovery. The people helped pass laws to clean up rivers throughout our nation. Marion also promoted actions that restored the land along the Nashua's banks. Once again, the river runs through a towering forest greenway. Once again, pebbles shine up through the clear water of the Nashaway. One of the things that people in this congregation do every year is help clean up the brooks and streams that flow toward the great river near us, a big river that's nearer than the Nashua. Do you know the name of it? Our biggest river? Yeah. It's called the Connecticut. And you've heard of the Connecticut River. It's the biggest one near us. And we have, you've been there?
Yeah, we have been there.
Yep.
We have to go across it to get to our friend's house.
Right. Anyone in Northampton lives on the other side of the Connecticut River. Do you know any names of rivers and streams that run into the Connecticut River from here? No. Well, some of our schools have been named after rivers. We have a Fort River School, and we're going to have an Amethyst Brook School. Yeah, and those are named after brooks that run through our city and on to the Connecticut River. So it's important that we all have jobs to do to help clean these brooks and streams clean.
Is that what made Earth Day a holiday?
Actually, it was very similar things, but the man who started Earth Day didn't live in Massachusetts, but he lived where he cared about the environment, and it was in Wisconsin, another state. Anyway, we're going to be celebrating Earth Day up here, but is Ken here? No, someone else is here to tell us about what you're doing in religious education today.
Hello. I'm Laurel, if you don't know me. JC and Ken are out today, but connecting to the rivers, actually all of our classrooms will be joining together today as it's a community Sunday. So we have a lot of different activities set up, kinetic sand and bracelet making and giant Jenga, tons of fun stuff. So we're gonna head down now.
The rest of the congregation, please rise in body and spirit to sing There's a River Flowin' in My Soul, number 1007 in the teal hymnal and on the screen.
The reading today is Like Ghosts of Eagles by Robert Francis. The Indians have mostly gone, but not before they named the rivers. The rivers flow on, and the names of the rivers flow with them. Susquehanna, Shenandoah. The rivers are now polluted, plundered, but not the names of the rivers. Cool and inviolate as ever, pure as on the morning of creation. Tennessee, Tombigbee. If the rivers themselves should ever perish, I think the names will somehow, somewhere hover like ghosts of eagles, those mighty whisperers. Missouri, Mississippi.
When the poet Robert Francis wrote that poem, Like Ghosts of Eagles, he was living here in Amherst. He spent nearly all his life in a little house near Cushman Village that he built for himself in 1940, right here in the Connecticut River Valley. He didn't include Connecticut in his poem, but I wonder if he felt its spirit as he wrote, if he thought about what its name may have sounded like when spoken by indigenous peoples, the Abenaki and Nipmuc and other Algonquian-speaking peoples who defined themselves by its proximity. Quinituka is what the Abenaki called it. The name's meaning is generally translated long tidal river, but it is much more than that. To these river-centric people, the river is a vital spirit power, a continuous, flowing, connecting force. Never static, ever changing, it is sacred. To say the name is to evoke an entire worldview, not an object or a single physical entity. The logo that Leah recently created for our congregation prominently features the Connecticut River, honoring the importance of that vital source of our valley's identity. Rivers are the lifeblood of our planet. We all live in watersheds. No place thrives without sources of fresh water, and if we pollute the waters, we hurt not only the rivers and streams and brooks and lakes, but also ourselves. One of the activities of our UUSA Environmental Action Circle has been the annual Connecticut River Cleanup. It gives us a chance each year to connect with our watershed and to do our best to keep its waters and riverbanks clear of pollution and litter. We're fortunate that our task is not as daunting as the task that Marion Stoddard faced in Groton as she promoted the cleanup of the Nashua River. But her success can serve as an inspiration when we think that our own small contributions will never amount to much. Environmental activism is a profound calling. It connects us with the people who came before and the people who are yet to come. And it connects us with the web of life. It is a reminder that we all depend on the earth, and that in the face of human threats and degradation, the earth also depends upon us. Henry Thoreau, one of our transcendentalist forebears, spent a good deal of time pondering the interface between humans and nature. In 1839, when he was in his early 20s, he and his brother John took a trip on the Concord and Merrimack rivers in a boat they had built themselves. Henry, who had always been a keen observer of wild creatures, was struck by the effects of human activity along the river. He watched the migratory fishes that swam upriver from the sea to spawn, and he saw that the fish were being stymied by dams. "Poor shad," he lamented, "where is thy redress?" His concerns led him to ask the haunting question, who hears the fishes when they cry? An encouraging feature of our time is that more and more people are hearing them. Dams affect not only migratory fishes, but whole ecosystems. Dam removal has become an environmental success story. The nonprofit organization American Rivers reported that in 2025, the efforts of environmental and safety advocates resulted in the removal of 100 outdated and unsafe dams in 30 states, reconnecting 4,893 miles of rivers, the most miles ever restored in a single year. 11 of those dam removals were here in Massachusetts. Dam removals restore wildlife habitat, develop greenways in cities, and increase climate resilience. Dams, of course, are built to serve humans, and they have much to offer, but their impact can be devastating. I remember going to a museum of Native American history in Tucson, Arizona, some years ago, and being stunned to learn that the indigenous peoples living at the mouth of the Colorado River, whose lifeways had for centuries depended on the ecosystem of its lush and massive river delta, no longer get any water at all from the river. None. Less than a century ago, the mighty Colorado River flowed unhindered from northern Colorado to the Gulf of California in Mexico. Now, 8 western states divert nearly all of the water for agriculture, urban water supplies, and hydropower. Of the small fraction of the river's flow that eventually reaches Mexico, most is used for agriculture. Satellite imagery shows us that the final trickle of that once mighty river simply disappears into desert sand before reaching the sea. It's easy for us to see this as a human tragedy, a violation of the rights of the downstream people who have lost the rich and complex wetlands of the Delta that had always been the center of their lives. From our human-centric worldview, the injustice is clear. But can you as easily think of the river itself as having lost its right to flow unimpeded to the sea? Does a river have rights? Remarkably, some explicitly do now. A few of the world's rivers have been granted legal personhood. I was brought up with the common assumptions that rivers are non-living, natural resources that provide power, water, transportation, recreation, and a place to dump our waste. But indigenous peoples throughout the world regard the life of a river as vital and sacred. People who have long regarded rivers as sacred ancestors have no difficulty accepting the concept of a river's personhood. To them, it is obvious that a river has rights. In 2017, New Zealand's Wanganui River became the first river to be granted legal personhood. New Zealand's indigenous Maori people have long believed in a deep connection between humans and water. A traditional saying is, "I am the river is me." For more than 160 years, they fought for the rights of the Wanganui River in the courts of the colonial government. They finally succeeded in getting not just legal protection for the river, but recognition of the river as a legal entity in its own right. That recognition encouraged activists in other countries to work for the legal rights of their rivers. The success story that is closest to us is in northern Quebec. As wild rivers in Canada were being dammed and harnessed for hydropower, their loss was keenly felt by lovers of wild places, and in particular, by the indigenous Innu people. Massive dams built by Hydro-Quebec had resulted in the devastation of vast ecosystems. Activists were determined to save the Magpie River watershed from that fate. And in February of 2021, the Magpie, or Mudashikgao Shipu, became the first river in Canada to be granted legal personhood. It has 9 specific rights, including the right to maintain its natural biodiversity, the right to maintain its integrity, and the right to be free from pollution. Thinking of a river as a legal person is a new concept for many of us, and predictably, there is lots of pushback. Unconscious cultural assumptions make it difficult for us to move outside the patterns of thought instilled in us by our language and culture. Difficult for us to rethink assumptions about which entities are living and non-living, sacred and profane, which are deserving of legal protection and which can be bought and sold. How different would our world be if we cared deeply about the rights of rivers and streams to flow freely, clear, and unobstructed? There is so much money to be made from damming and harnessing them, and so many ways that corporations might benefit from polluting them. And yet, as more and more people recognize our place in the interdependent web of life of which we are a part, the rights of nature movement is gaining ground. Altering fundamental relationships to nature may be our best, may be our only path to a sustainable future. Granting legal rights to rivers and other non-human entities will no doubt be relentlessly opposed and ridiculed. That has been the fate of every movement that seeks to expand the definition of who has rights. Today, in the face of governments that are causing so much hurt in the world, we often speak of ourselves as the resistance. And of course, it is important to resist corrupt politicians and unjust policies. But what if we turn that paradigm on its head? Our nation was founded for the purpose of giving people in the American colonies the right to rule themselves. And throughout the history of our nation, we have seen effort after effort to expand that right to more people. Activists have dedicated their lives to ending slavery, ending child labor, advocating for women's rights, LGBTQ plus rights, immigrant rights, and yes, now even the rights of nature. Every advance has been met with resistance. It is the instinct of those who are privileged to resist any expression of rights for others. But the courage and persistence of people who are dedicated to freedom and justice continues to push forward against that resistance. As we celebrate the 250th anniversary of our nation's Declaration of Independence, we can look with pride and gladness at the ever-widening definition of who deserves to have full and equal rights. But in today's political climate, we can also see that many of those rights are threatened. Battles once won may need to be refought. We may feel overwhelmed by the outrages that seem to come at us like water from a fire hose. But take heart. When we look at the world from the perspective of expanding rights, we can see that we are not the resistance. We are the flow. We are the revolutionary river, declaring that rights are for everyone, not just for the privileged few. It is those who want to block or reverse the expansion of rights who are damming the flow. Water is soft and yielding, yet very powerful. A river can carve a canyon through solid rock. It can find its way through an obstacle or carve a new channel that flows around it. So too, the quest for justice and equitable rights is powerful. It can break through resistance and find a way around the obstacles that people erect to stop it. As we celebrate the Declaration of Independence, listen to what it has to say. Tyranny must not stand in freedom's way. Let us flow on in the spirit of our forebears, expanding their vision to an ever-widening embrace of all humankind. And perhaps we are ready to expand to an even wider embrace that acknowledges the rights of rivers and mountains, plants and animals, and all sacred beings in our more than human world. May it be so.
I was born in the path of winter wind and raised where the mountains are old. Their springtime waters came dancing down. I remember their white tales they told. The whistling ways of my younger days too quickly have been by, but all of their memories linger on like the light in a fading sky. Sing with me if you know it. River you're changing, oh river, that you and me, river, roll down to the sea. Some days when the flowers are blooming still, someday when the grass is still green, my rolling waters will round the bend and flow into the open sea. So here's to the rainbow that's followed me here, and here's to the friends that I know, and here's to the song that's within me now. I will sing it wherever I go. River, take me along in your sunshine. Sing me a song ever moving and winding and free. You rolling, oh river, you changing, oh river, that you and me, river, roll down to the sea. River, take me along in your sunshine. Sing me a song ever moving and winding and free. You rolling, oh river, you changing, oh river, that you and me, river, roll down to the sea.
Let's have a moment of quiet while we absorb all these thoughts. Spirit of life and love, like drops of water flowing in a river to the sea, we join in community to share our joy in peaceful times and to gather strength in times of strife. May we have faith that together we can find a way through and around the many obstacles that block the flow of peace and justice. May we be guided always by our deep love and connection to this beautiful Mother Earth. Amen. Please remain seated to sing our meditation hymn, Find a Stillness. It's in the gray hymnal, but it's also on the screen. We'll sing only one verse.
Everyone, my name is Ellen Cosmer, and I use she, her pronouns. The offering today, it's Another World is Possible. Each week, we collect an offering and we split it with an outside organization to help us remember that we can't make a better world place of our own. During May, our congregation generously shares half of our offering basket with the Odnong powwow. As we donate to this local powwow, we recognize and honor the indigenous peoples who stewarded the lands and rivers of Massachusetts for countless centuries before the arrival of settlers from other lands. Half of the money connected in our offering today supports the life of our community and the congregation. The other half of the money will support the Odnong powwow. Please give generously today in the basket, by text, by check, or through our website, which you'll find online. Thank you.
Please join me in the words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
So we're about to sing our closing song, and you're welcome to stay right where you are or be held in the love of our congregation, or you're welcome to rise and move into a circle along the outer side aisle so that and you can place your hands over your heart or hold hands with someone near you and sing This Day We Come.
Renowned nature writer Robert McFarlane has quipped that hope is the thing with rivers. As we leave here today, let's take with us a renewed faith in our ability to make the world better. We are the revolutionary river that has been pushing against tyranny and injustice for 250 years. We will not stop. Together we can carve a path for human rights, for welcoming strangers, and for taking care of Mother Earth. Go in peace.